has this entire glass ceiling. It's an architectural masterpiece. You can see the whole night sky through it. And the Hillary team had been so confident of victory that they'd got these confetti cannons, which they always have of these things, but they had sourced instead this little type of plastic filament, which when you put in the cannons, it would spray forth and it would look like shattered glass. So it would look like this heroic, shattering of the glass ceiling when her victory was announced. And I was in there, took half an hour to get in, and all these TVs were on CNN everywhere, and suddenly they all switched off. I thought, fuck, this is it. So then we struggled out, took half an hour to get to a bar to watch the whole deal go down. And the shock, the sheer body shock for people from that loss, the sheer reality that people really couldn't accept for days and weeks and months. This event, this historical capital E event had happened. Not only, it drove, I think, some sort of centrist progressives out of that sort of area. It shocked their confidence, and it created a space in which the forms of organisation that had started with the Bernie Sanders group and had become groups like Our Revolution and that sort of thing, and the Democratic Socialists of America, which had got this huge rush of joiners and that sort of thing. It had so delegitimised centrist democratic power that it created this space in which reorganisation could take place. And when the midterms came along, those were organised, and there was no Donald Trump out there for his voters to come out for. So the Republicans came out again, the 38, the 60% of the 38% usually ensure that the midterms would go Republican, and they voted as they voted. But what came in, but there was no Trump to draw this now right-wing group of people who had never voted before except for 2016, and in 2018 probably didn't even know there was an election in many ways. And that created the disjuncture whereby we got this double whammy. And look, one of the huge reasons why this happened was because there was no Hillary. If Hillary, Bernie Sanders was in there campaigning, Hillary did a bit of campaigning, Obama did a lot of campaigning, but Hillary was by and large absent apart from a few tweets. And if she hadn't been, it would have been worse for the Democrats. It would have been worse for the left, because Hillary is the enthusiasm killer. You just basically resent the idea that you have to troop up and vote for her. The idea of the compromise, the historic compromise, is taken so much to the real edge of gritting your teeth and going, fuck it, no, I just cannot do this by Hillary, that it's an actual vote depressor. And that's what she had tried to do in 2016, reconstitute the Democrats, exclude the industrial working class and big labour so that she could put in a form of centrist neoliberalism which is connected to American foreign policy. The TPP is less an economic tool than it is a foreign policy tool to encircle China in Asia, and so and that was Obama's attachment to it. I still believe Obama is where he can be reasonably centre-left and pro-union on a lot of sort of things, but I think in terms of foreign policy, his drive with the TPP was undoubtedly that. And with Hillary, that would have been on steroids. That would have been that, plus aggressive foreign intervention, where it was plausible, and that sort of thing. Let me just try and wind this up. And so this is where this is where the issue lies. For progressives and progressives, by which we mean centrist progressives and identity politics progressives. The issue for the left here is that Trump will come roaring back in 2020 with more nicknames, more ideas, that sort of thing. Trump is obviously a very stupid man in terms of apparently in this last round in Europe he blamed the leaders of the Baltics for the Yugoslav war. This is true because he thought that they were the Balkans. He told the Prime Minister of Spain that he should stop African migrants by putting a wall across the Sahara. This is the representative of Americans don't recognise a map of the world. Most Americans don't recognise a map of the world. And it sounds elitist if you say that Americans, by and large, you know, working and middle class Americans, average Americans, are as a whole genuinely stupider than, say, working middle class British or working middle class Australians. It's an unfortunate fact, but it's necessary to recognise. Their education system is destroyed, television has largely replaced it, and they live in a world in which there's a lot less sort of connection with the points of reality that make you think, and that has had a historical material effect. And Trump is their guy, you know. Trump reflects them back, and he reflects back the insouciance and, you know, the rudeness of populism that, you know, we try and draw on in different ways to say that, you know, all this stuff, you know, we can see now with Nancy Pelosi trying to become a new speaker again, that there's going to be a return to all this faux sort of, you know, sorry, I'm almost done. You know, the Congress, American official government things were, you know, the most radical thing in 1788, and they've been frozen at 1788 ever since. So the Congress runs like the English Parliament ran in 1788 as my honourable speaker, as I yield my time, all this sort of stuff. And so Nancy Pelosi is already making deals and that sort of thing. And if the left doesn't recognise that it has to have a lot of arguments with the new knowledge class progressives, with the intense drive to always drive towards politics of individual rights, the relentless drive to sideline politics of class and politics of economics and that sort of thing, the relentless drive to the you know, the endless micro-moral inspection of every candidate that comes up to see whether they once loaded a porno up or something like that in 1986, that sort of thing, then Trump will prevail again. The first battle, and we're going to have it here too, I think, is to say that collective politics matter. We have to make judgments about class, race, gender, identity, all these sorts of things, and we have to have these fights within the left and progressivism at the same time as we then turn our guns towards the right. And I think that's what the midterm showed us this time. Thanks very much.
Yeah.